This is Fred Beck from Fred Talks Fighting, proudly sponsored by Empire Fight Store and joined by Mams Taylor over Zoom. Mams, we were meant to do this interview on Friday, and I sit down on then. But obviously, a few things got in the way of that. How you been? Been a little bit jet lagged? Okay.
Come here, baby. Come here. Sorry, Peanut has this horrible cough. It's better when I pick him up. I look like a supervillain.
I mean, that banging in the background there, like that the whole time. I thought that was someone punching a wall or hitting a wall, kicking a wall.
No,
That's really bad, Mams. That tiny little dog's barking that loud.
Well, it's not barking. It's this cough he's got, and it's from it's his lung is kind of deteriorating, and I've got like every medicine, holistic, non-holistic, all these medicines for him, and he's 14, so
Oh wow.
I'm just hoping he hangs in there because I rescued him about 13 years ago.
Yeah.
And obviously I'm pretty close with my animals, you know?
You're known for your animals. When people were like to me, Fred, I spoke to Mams Taylor the other day. All we did was talk about animals for the first 5 minutes. I was like, yeah, that's Mams. In a good mood. Yeah.
Yeah, that's me. I mean, that's definitely the way to my heart. I was dating someone who wouldn't allow my dogs on the bed when we sleep. And I was like, it's not going to work, you know? So
break up with them immediately.
I pretty much did. That was the last
Really?
time. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
You can't stand for them. If they want to try and change you, then they can get out of here. I saw that. I looked you up on the other day on YouTube. I got that video, you chilling that guy.
Got what?
I looked you up on YouTube the other day, Mams Taylor, KO punch. Got that video on TMZ, you whacking that guy.
Oh yeah, well he deserved it at the time, to be honest. But we're cool now. It's all good.
Where is he now?
I don't know. I don't know. He's in LA, I suppose, you know?
Okay, as long as he's doing good. As long as he's not cast.
Yeah, we wish him the best. No grudges, no hard feelings against anyone.
All right. I've got a number of points I do want to talk about. I'm curious. Just do lots of like kind of short points. I want to ask like really open-ended questions. I just ask a few questions people want to know. The return of Pineda. Will we see Lewis Pineda on Misfits again?
The guy keeps taking fights and losing them, so I don't know. He's not really. We were gonna put him on a Misfits show, and then he had this secret fight. I told him not to fight until he fights with us, and then he snuck one in, but you know the internet doesn't let you get away with anything. So I don't know. I think we saw we saw Pineda, and maybe that was enough.
No, but he's a big star, Mams Pineda. He fought KSI.
You know what? He is a star. He's got like, especially when he puts his sunglasses on. We do love a bit of Pineda. The memes will come back. Who knows? You know, you never say never. We'll see what happens.
If he fights, the viral memes, everything will come back. I think you should definitely get him on another Misfits card. Everyone, like my views for Pineda, he's like 300,000 per interview, but no one else really does that. Pineda is a massive star, Mams. Trust me when I say this. The comments can back me up here. Pineda is a big star. He fought the
let's do a vote. Let's do a vote and see if the fans want to see Pineda come back again. Yeah.
Okay, I'll put a thing on my Twitter. I've got 10K Twitter followers now. I'll put it on Twitter.
There you go.
Okay, so let's just whiz through this. Second question. So we got January, February, and March for the next few cards. Obviously, the one in January is in London. February and March confirmed. Where will the February one be?
We'll see. I haven't announced any of that yet, so
but that's
no scoops.
Do you know what country that's in?
No, not yet.
It always kind of odds me out when a lot of people say once KSI and Jake Paul fight, Misfits boxing will be over. What's your reaction to that?
Absolutely not.
I'd like to hear that.
Yeah, I think we're going to get to a place when no one's going to be bigger than Misfits in terms of one singular boxer, and that's KSI's goal as well as mine. You know, we want to continue to provide a platform for everyone, smaller to bigger creators, and provide entertainment for the masses and for the fans, for them to really just enjoy like they have been. I mean, KSI wasn't on the last two cards, and they were both very successful. We're all very happy with you know kind of the progress of this thing, and it's really entertaining. Look, if you compare, and again, we are not, guys, settle down. Shh. We're not the same as, you know, we're not comparing ourselves to anyone else. We do our own thing. But if you were to compare watching one of our fight cards to any other boxing card, okay, you would, hold on a sec, okay?
I've never had this problem before in interviewing. Where dogs are coughing that loudly.
Well, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Okay.
Can you tell me which was the most successful show when talking numbers? The one in Sheffield or most recent one? Misfits 003 or Misfits 002?
The Zone were very happy with the numbers, the viewing numbers on both, the subscriptions going up. Which one was more successful is hard to say, but they were very comparable. I think people enjoyed the second one, but they enjoyed the third one even more. I really enjoyed both, to be honest, but I enjoyed the third one. I enjoyed X Series 003 because I think the fights were just so exciting. You know, I predicted we'd see more knockouts on this show than any other show that we'd done, and that was true. And I think the main event was just spectacular, wasn't it? It was an amazing performance by both of those kids. And you could put that on any boxing show, that particular fight, and I don't think anyone would kind of turn their nose up at it. It was a really, really exciting, fun fight. Obviously, Rahman Jr. Against Greg Hardy was slobber knocker, as Jim Ross would say as well. So, you know, I think all of the fights were pretty exciting and cool and fun to watch.
It definitely was a good move to put D in the main event. It was just so competitive. But there's a lot of talk. I think a lot of fighters sometimes complain about it. The lack of promotion there was for the Misfits 002 and 003. What do you make of that?
I think we're growing. We're figuring things out more and more. It's just going to keep improving. You know, like I say, I love the UFC. I love Bellator. I love their models. I love how they've grown. And if you compare UFC 1 to UFC 30 to UFC 50 to UFC 70, you're going to see so many changes and so many improvements. So we're still babies. We're still young here. You know, this is such a young space. And we're innovating and improving and learning as much as we can all the time. So there's still a lot of room for growth, you know? But watching cards on Misfits from start to finish, you're going to generally be pretty entertained by it. Listen, even the excitement of Misfits, of Misfits 1 with Swarms and then Pineda, there's still always an X factor to it, like what's going to happen. Who the heck knew Pineda would be, you know, so hurt by the first punch and just not want to fight back and this and that. So of course I'm there going like, bro, fight back. What are you doing? You know, after the first 30 seconds, once I knew, I'm like, okay, KSI's got this. Yeah. Then my relief set in. And then at that point I was like, well, come on, at least fight back. Yeah. So, but even that meme that came from that, it's all part of history now in the influencer and crossover space, crossover boxing space. And I think, yeah, sure, you know, things could always have been better in hindsight if you chose this pathway instead of that pathway and everything. But it's all a process that you learn from. And I think I'm very proud of the 3 events we put on. I'm very proud of how they've gone. I'm very proud of how the fans have received them. And I think we're just going to go from strength to strength and keep getting better and better, you know?
But do you feel sometimes the fighters turn to more boxers than influencers, where kind of boxers might not promote the fight as much? When if you're more of an influencer, You're always promoting. I'm not saying they are. I'm just saying that's the thing I've seen on Twitter. People complaining.
No, I don't think that's true. I think Hasim Rahman Jr. promoted very well. You know, I think, and the poor guy had opponent switches. He was supposed to fight Shannon Briggs at one point, um, and it was such a quick scramble to get to Greg Hardy, and that was who he wanted to fight essentially. And um, so I do feel for him in the sense that he didn't get to really train for the person he was fighting. That was, but he wanted to stay on the card, so I respect that immensely. It took a guy that really outweighed him a lot, and he was very confident. But I think he promoted fairly well, and it was difficult. Sometimes your dance partner you've got to have the right chemistry. So a lot of the time you have a banging fight in there, but the promotion isn't as electric or as beef oriented. We all like the beef because it adds to the excitement, but sometimes you have like Faye Sensei and King Kenny fighting was not, there was no beef. They were just so respectful throughout. So is that less promotion? It is, but I think as a fight fan, I was keen to see that fight. I wanted to see what would happen if they fight each other. So it's lots of different elements, but yeah, I think I think there could be better promotion from everyone all round, and I think, like I said, I think there's room for improvement. So we're just going to keep on pushing for that.
Okay, that's quite a good answer there. I only bring up. I don't believe that myself, but I'm just saying because I've seen a lot of people on Twitter saying that obviously playing the devil's advocate. Let's talk about KSI and Dillon Danis. Okay, so for Dillon Danis, he was meant to fight Logan Paul. Obviously, Logan got injured. And so you had Tyron Woodley. You had also had Joe Fournier, who was a perfect fight for him. Which one of those two names was going to be the KSI's opponent?
Honestly, it was down to the wire to the last minute. JJ wanted the Danis fight. He wanted the Joe Fournier fight. He wanted the Woodley fight. He wanted all of the fights. He didn't. At a certain point, he just said, "Look, I don't care. I want to fight someone. Just make sure they can fight. I want to fight." But he was keen to shut Dillon Danis up, and Logan was keen to as well. So, at that point, if they were both going to be on the same card, Logan had a shortage of opponents that made sense for him, and yeah, it was undecided, but it was going in that direction for sure. It was either going to be Joe or Woodley. And I think both of them are tough fights. It wasn't like the most appealing fight to have, taking Jake's seconds. So I think for Tyron, if he fights a couple of guys, gets a couple of wins under his belt, I think that makes sense for JJ to fight him at that point. Joe Fournier, undefeated boxer, very, very skilled guy, tough guy. That guy would wipe the floor with Tommy Fury. I have no doubt about that. That's a fight I would love to make as well. But I don't think that's going to happen, because but listen, Danis needed to be put in his place by JJ, and JJ wanted to do that. So that's the fight we've got. I think it's going to be a very exciting fight. Obviously, Danis crossed the line by spilling coffee on JJ, coming for a face-off and creating excitement. I'm all for that, but he went a little bit too far, and JJ was very, very upset about that, as you could see. I think we were all pissed off. I was drenched in coffee. The new hat I just got, JJ, was drenched in coffee. And one thing we
Wade
know,
Lemons. Wade was just doing his job, and he got splashed by all the coffee as well in a white top.
the commissioner of Texas got splashed by the coffee. We almost had no event. I'm telling you,
Yeah,
it was
I heard.
bad. It was bad. So it wasn't. It was. I see people saying, "Oh, this was planned. This is this that." That was definitely not fucking planned.
But
So
Mams, why did no one take the coffee out of his hand? It's obvious he's going to throw it in his face.
I just don't. I think sometimes things like that happen so quickly and they
Yeah.
get overlooked. Listen, all I got is after it all happened, JJ was fine. I made sure he was okay. Danis was being escorted out, and I picked up JJ's cowboy hat that I just bought for him, and it was drenched in coffee and maple syrup. So we know Dillon Danis drinks his coffee with maple syrup.
Why did I not get a cowboy hat? I was literally the only interviewer doing interviews there, and I had no cowboy hat, Mams.
You want a cowboy hat?
A nice red cowboy hat would look lovely. For the next Texas show, for the next one in America, a cowboy hat would be expected.
Do you? What size is your head?
Be small, big brain but small head.
Yeah. Okay. We'll figure something out for you. Yeah.
Yeah, but then again, I feel like if you wear a hat, it doesn't kind of let's hide who you are. Like when Deli Prales takes his hat off, I don't recognize him sometimes. I know Daly very well. There's always quite funny. For Logan Paul's situation, when do you think he'll be ready to fight again?
I saw him obviously this last week, and he was like, "Man, part of me thinks I can fight again." And I'm like, "You guys aren't human." Like he's recovering so quickly, and I'm very happy about that. Obviously, I think he's going to fight. He's definitely, I'd say he's going to fight on the Jake Paul KSI fight.
So that long away.
Who says it's that long away? I mean, it's happening
I
at
do. I
some
have my
point.
sources,
All
man.
I said is it's happening in 2023. And JJ will have 3 fights in 2023. So, yes, he's got Dillon Danis, then whoever it's going to be, and then at the end of the year, whoever it's going to be. So, he's going to have 3 fights.
But do you think Logan Paul would want to box when his brother's fighting his business partner? Do you think he like kind of how's that affect him mentally when he's gonna get step in the ring?
I think it's fine. I almost think it's a good thing because I know it's quite awkward to be in the position of my business partner is fighting my brother. You know, it's quite an awkward place to be in. And of course, ultimately he's gonna support his brother over anyone. That's his family, right? But it's still the blood between Jake Paul and KSI is so bad. It's really there's real hate there. There's real disdain there between those two. So it's hard not to get caught in the middle if you're taking a side, even if it's a little bit. So it's just going to create an awkward kind of few months for him, I think, and I feel for him for that. So I think him having his own fight gives him something else to focus on, and not have to be as heavily involved in that.
Okay, that's quite good. That's quite interesting point there, saying it'll give him something to kind of put his mind at ease, or a fight will kind of stress him out so much and get to him so much, he'll kind of lose the fact that his brother is fighting his business partner, which is quite strange. But who are Logan Paul fight? Who are the options for him?
I think it's early days. Let's wait till his knee recovers fully, and then he's ready to fight. Whether he fights again before that as well or not, it's totally up to him. He's got so many great things going on with the WWE and all that. So, we'll work it out. We'll have the conversation when he's feeling better and see how much of an itch he has to fight that we can scratch.
Okay, that's interesting there. I've got your pay-per-view list up here, pound for pound rankings on my phone. You got Jake Paul first, which is there. Then you got KSI. Then you got Logan Paul at number 3. Do you think it's fair to put Logan number 3, considering he hasn't won a victory in a fight yet, even though he's a great fighter, but he hasn't won a fight yet?
Read the criteria for my top 10 list. What does it say?
My pound for pound rankings, point system based on record, opponents, abilities, star power. Okay, star power is interesting. Draw, minus 10 points, max 4 for each category.
10 points for each category. So I literally sit down and as objectively as I can give a point system from 1 to 10 in each category. And his points ended up being third place. So yes, his record isn't good. That was his weak spot. But the rest of the categories, he checks very high. His opponents have been very tough. Obviously, KSI, obviously Floyd Mayweather. He did a fantastic job with Floyd. He did a good job against him. You can't deny that. I don't think he was in any major danger of being knocked out during that fight at all. Of course, yes, Floyd probably bested him a little bit during the fight, but he was having a hard time. Logan's a lot bigger than him, and
Who do you think won more convincingly? KSI fought Logan, when Floyd fought Logan. Who do you think won more convincingly?
when KSI fought Logan or when Logan fought Floyd.
Yeah, who won more convincingly? That's a good question, Mams.
It is a good question. I don't know. I think it was. It's a tough one. I think. Look, if you're scoring it on points, Floyd won, right? But it was an exhibition, and there was no winner. So official result is that it was a draw.
Mm-hmm.
The official result between KSI and Logan was that KSI won. So That's all you need to know, really. When it comes to your record, listen, the man has a draw against Floyd Mayweather, so it's got to count for something. But that's my rankings. And listen, it's Slim crept up there. He had another fight since the last rankings, and he crept up there. He's on par with Logan now, third place. They had identical points. And Dean has really come up quite a few spots. Really impressed with Dean. What an amazing fight that was. So he's such a superstar, you know. And I see already that he gets sort of he gets a lot of hate and he gets a lot of love. And he kind of reminds me, in terms of personality and aura, he kind of reminds me of a young Floyd, you know.
Yeah, I can kind of see that too. He always says you dig that sort of thing. And it's funny, for the comments I see for Dean's ones, he does get quite a lot of criticism, Dean. But if you're a fighter, as long as people are watching, that's all that matters.
I mean, how can you criticize Dean for coming? Let me tell you, how many times have you seen someone get knocked down a handful of times, 2, 3 times, right? And then come back to win? It's really a rare occurrence in boxing. It's not something that happens every other week, you know? Am I right?
Well, I'm just looking at the fight now. You had the Castillo versus other opponent in boxing. The guy got knocked down 3 times, didn't he? And he came back in the final round, but I forgot the person's name.
Right. And that makes for an unbelievably exciting fight and a great comeback. So you don't see that every time you watch a boxing card, you know? Normally when someone's quite dominant, they end up winning the fight. And in this case, it wasn't, you know, Dean had the heart not to, he didn't get disheartened. He didn't lose his confidence. He didn't lose his enthusiasm. And his coach, Ivan, did an amazing job to keep him calm and relax him and get him back into the mix and go for it. And he obviously had the self-belief. Listen, if you throw a punch like that, you're doing it with intent, and your intent is coming from your confidence to throw a punch like that and get away with it. He wasn't there to just carry on taking shots. He was determined, and that determination goes a long way. And also a lot of respect to Waleed Sharks. I mean, unbelievable. In terms of skill, he's probably our best fighter on Misfits in terms of skill, right? Arguably. And that didn't carry him to the victory, unfortunately. But I'd like to, you know, I really like the kid. He's a good kid, and I'd like to have him on a bunch of future shows for sure. He's another star.
The rematch between Dean and Waleed, I guess we'll see that further down the line.
Yeah, listen, I think Waleed will go away and reflect and grow, and both of them have room for improvement. They're both fantastic boxers, and great fighters with a lot of heart. Look, to clear this up, I went into the ring after to check on Waleed, just as I do on all the fighters. If they've been knocked out, I want to make sure they're okay. He didn't know where he was. He did not know where he was. And he was like, why are they pulling my gloves off? Tell the referee to put it back on. Tell him to put it back on. He was not cognizant of what happened. And I've seen that happen before. He'd lost 20 seconds of his life, essentially, right? He'd lost the memory of what had happened. And he came to thinking, wait, I don't remember it. He probably does not remember the knockout. That's what normally happens when you get knocked out to that degree. So yes, he turned his back. Was that on purpose? Was that not on purpose? I don't think he was conscious of what was going on. From the conversation I had with him, he wasn't. So he lost that fight. It wasn't a bad stoppage. It wasn't premature. It was the right call. He didn't know where he was. Does that take anything away from his performance or his ability? No. He's a great talent, and he will have another shot at some point. Sooner or later, it will happen.
That sounds pretty good. That's interesting. You're saying he doesn't know where he was. So I think a lot of people will pick up on that.
I see all these comments of people saying this and that. I was in the ring with him, and I saw him. He did not know what was going on in that moment, and I've seen that happen with a lot of boxers before when they just straight out from a knockout. You know.
Certainly, it's good to know he's alright. I interviewed him the day after, and he seemed kind of in decent spirits considering he just lost.
Yeah, he's determined. Listen, that loss is probably going to be one of the best things that has happened to him. He's going to go away and improve on anything that that there's room to improve on.
Certainly. I interviewed Slim earlier today. His got his fight verbally agreed. I'll say his opponent is right now. He is fighting. No, I was kidding. I don't know. When will we hear about the announcements of the Misfits January card? When will that be announced?
We're working on it now. I've got a lot of work to do. So there's a lot of things to tie up and try and give you guys the best show I can,
Will the fights be announced individually or on a full card?
I like doing the whole card.
I think individually makes it more exciting.
Do you think we should do that?
Yeah, I think you should do that actually.
Do a poll. I'll listen to the poll. Okay.
Okay, I'll do another poll. No, trust me, man. I think people will like it more individually. It gives more interest in saying, "Oh, who else is going to win the card?" They want more. You always want to know more. So if you do it all at once, we're like, "Oh, okay, that's it then."
Right. That's true. I'm open to it. Look, I think all of us have to be in a place where we're not know-it-alls. Yeah. There's always room to try new things and see what works best. Like I say, we're in the infancy of this sport, totally. Yeah, of this section or subsection of the sport. So we're very much open to trying new things and seeing what fans respond to the best. Let's try it. I'll start announcing as we go. Okay, we'll do that for you, Fred.
Yeah,
all right.
Good work. One last question: Deji versus Mayweather. What did you make of the overall promotion and their event of it all? It wasn't a Misfits type of show. I think that's a good way to put it.
It wasn't. It wasn't. We're partners. To make it clear, we're partners with DAZN. So when DAZN have an event that includes influencers in their boxing, we're partners with them. So presented by MF.
Oh, okay. That's what Misfits is on the poster.
Yes, but we absolutely did not have anything to do with the promotion or the production of it or anything like that. Because if we did, it wouldn't look like that, wouldn't feel like that. Fighters like Paul Bamba wouldn't be mistreated, and it's just not the way we work. And that's something JJ and I are adamant on, is that our fighters are treated with respect. They're treated well. They get paid well. They get paid on time. All of that stuff. It's important to us. It is. And even within our framework, we still have so much room for improvement too, to keep accommodating fighters to a level that I would like them to be accommodated. There's a few infrastructural things that we're going to keep improving, and that's it. Our goal is to really make sure that everyone has a great time, including the fighters. Without them, there would be no show. So they're putting their bodies on the line. They're training hard. They're putting in the hard work, and I want them to feel respected by us as well as the fans. I want to give them the best show. Of course, there's always going to be critics and people talking all kinds of crap. And listen, I listen to valid points and constructive criticism. I have no ego there. I'm not going to say like, we know everything and we know everything the best out of everyone. Sometimes you'll see someone making a valid point or a criticism, and we take it to heart. When it's someone just shitting on us because they're just haters, then you ignore it, but we really want to be the best in this space, and we want to provide the most entertaining, most fun for everyone. And I think that's a goal we all have in common, with Kala, KSI, myself, and DAZN as well.
Oh, that's quite interesting what you say there, because I think most promoters, except from Eddie Hearn, they won't really respond to criticism or acknowledge it. I know Eddie Hearn will, and then he will respond to it, but most promoters in boxing won't actually do that. So I think the best thing is listening to the fans, listening to the people who are actually going to buy the product or actually going to absorb it. So I think that's the smartest move forward. But the Zoom's only got left.
Let's end on this. I'll say that I think it's stupid not to have your ears and eyes open and see what's going on and see what people are feeling. And yes, you want to listen to your fans, but it's a two-way relationship, because your fans are looking to you to listen to you. They're looking to you to guide them into saying, hey, by the way, guys, I've got this great lineup for you. I've got this great fight for you and all that. And you want to provide that. You want to not let them down. You know what I mean? So it's a two-way relationship. They're listening to you and you're listening to them. And I think that's the way it's got to continue being. You've got to have a great relationship with your fans, in terms of taking on board what they're feeling and what they want essentially.
100%. That's why I think Misfits would be definitely a very, very big and here to say. But Mams, I appreciate your time. I know you don't do many interviews often. I can see why, because I've asked you a few tough questions, but I'll see you in January in the UK. Yeah, anything you want to add before we leave?
Call me back after this so we can talk about your opponent.
There we go. Very nice. Awesome. End it here. Thanks, Mams.